Hi, this is Jeannie at Trendy, and today we're going to take one of the burlap horsehead wreath forms and make this little burlap horse. Okay? Be sure while you're watching the video, we will post the supplies. All the supplies came from Trendy, of course, and we'll post those. And there's a little icon down at the bottom of your screen where you can subscribe to our channel. We don't want you to miss our next videos coming out, and we'd appreciate it so much if you give us a thumbs up and share our videos with your friends. You can follow us on Facebook and Pinterest too. Okay, let's get started. This is the burlap colored horsehead form, and the first thing we're going to do is just we're only going to use the ties along the outside of the horse. So all these others we're just going to kind of push to the inside and out of the way. You could cut them off if you wanted to, but you know, I may take the decorations off of this one and reuse it again, so I'm not going to cut my ties off. I'm just going to get the ones out of the way that I'm not going to use and leave the ones that I am going to use out. Then I'm going to take some of the 2.5 inch burlap ribbon, and I'm just going to cover the form, and I'm going to start probably up around the ears first. I'm just going to come down and just attach my burlap somewhere. And then I'm going to just go up and wrap around that ear. And I'm going to come down and try to get the nose covered up first. Look. So I'm just going to take the burlap ribbon and wrap it all around the wreath form until I get it covered up. I'm going to make sure that I leave my twist along the outside edge sticking out. So just cover up your work wreath, cover up your frame with the burlap, and sometimes it's easier to cut it in pieces and wrap, and then you can just tuck the tails into the back. You know, you can secure it with one of the twist ties under there. Just really, we just sort of want to cover up the metal ring, the metal frame. We're going to use this jute garland to go around our horse now, and we're going to probably do it in a couple of different sections, but I'm going to start a piece, and I'm going to start up close to the head. Of course, I can just take my piece and tuck it into the back, make sure I keep my twist out on the outer edge, and then I'm just going to start wrapping around the horse head. And now then, I'm going to skip the nose, and I'm just going to come on down the neck. And we may have to go back in and fill in some gaps here and there. Okay, I've got a little space left over here that I'm going to have to do something with. Still got all my ties on the outside out. Now, I've still got this much of a piece, so I'm going to go around his nose, and I'm going to start with a piece on the back and just kind of tuck it in. And just kind of weave it back and forth. Just any way you can get that nose covered up good. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to take my wire cutters and cut that piece. And just tuck that raw in to the inside. That garland is wired, so if you want to twist the ends together, you know, you can. Now I need a little piece to go up here around the ear. Now I've got a little space here that's not going to be covered, but there's going to be mane coming down there. So I'm just going to kind of take a piece and make sure that I've got that ear in a point. I've still got to come down to the bottom and finish covering down here. So, like I say, this is wired, so you can just wire it together. And you can always go back and check if you have any places that you feel like it's going to slip off. You can always just secure that with a little floral wire or hot glue. Alright, next we're going to work on our mane. And what we're going to use for that is a frayed edge mesh. It's burlap. It's 10 inches in width, but it has about 1.5 inches or 2 inches frayed on each end. But what we're going to do is we're going to fray one end of this more. I'm not exactly sure how many yards it's going to take, so I'm going to cut a piece, and this piece I'm cutting is about a little over 2 yards just to work with. I know that's not going to be enough, but it's going to be easier to work with a smaller piece. And then I'm just gonna be sure and don't fray from your cut edge. We're gonna fray from this outer edge, and you can just pull that jute. It's a combination of jute and poly. It's about 3 or 4 threads there, so you just have to pull on them. And we're going to make that frayed edge larger. This is messy. this will take a little while, but we want to wind up with about this much, about 6 inches of frayed edge on one side, and then we're going to leave the frayed edge on the other side. So let me just keep working on this. Okay, so now we've got about 6 inches of fringe on one side, and we still have the original fringe on the other side. So now we're going to drop down and pull a string that's about 3 or 4 strings down from the top, and we're going to do that as a gathering string. We don't want to pull it all the way out. We just want to gather this piece of mesh. Well, that may be too close to that fringe. Let me drop back a little bit and get it about midway of the mesh that I haven't fringed. So let me go back and pull it right here. And like I say, this is just, I'm pulling on a gathering string. I don't want to pull it all the way through. I'm just going to gather this mesh up. And like I say, I'm sure we're probably going to need another piece besides this. We may need 3 pieces the same size. But I'm just going to gather that up all the way down the length of that mesh. Now I'm not going to gather all the way to the other end of my mesh because I don't want to take a chance on pulling it out. So I'm just going to start at the other opposite end and start gathering in from that away. That way I shouldn't pull my gathering thread out. You just have to gather that till you get it as tight as you want it. I'm going to keep the longer side of your fringe toward the front. Now I'm going to have to make another piece. I need to fill in this area, and then I need a piece that comes straight down from the front, so I'm going to have to cut another piece. At my starting point, my gathering end, I'm going to take those threads that I used to gather that mesh, and I'm going to tie it in somewhere around this work wreath frame. There we go. Keep that from pulling out. Probably wouldn't hurt to tie it in a couple of places. So we've got our shorter edge of the fringe standing up, and then we've got our longer fringe coming down the neck. It's going to mat up and wad up, I imagine. Now when we up here, we're going to have to make another piece gather up another piece to fill in right here, and then we need some bangs that come down toward the front. Now there's my gathering thread that I pulled from the other end. I'll cut that a little bit shorter. I'll tie a few knots. I believe that's going to hold pretty good right there. Let me cut another piece and we'll do a little more fringe. To finish for the mains to come down over the bangs, I took the raw edge and just brought it around to the back and took my gathering string and I'm just tying it around the metal of the wreath frame. This is the first time I've made one like this, so all this is trial and error. This may give you some ideas of a better way, you know, to do it. And you can always go back and, you know, spread your roping around any place that you need to cover up. And if you want to get it like that metal ring right there, you can always hot glue a little bit, hot glue that burlap together. I'm not going to do that because I'll probably take this off and then reuse this roping for something else. Now I'm just going to kind of smooth this out, try to get the short edge of my fringe sort of standing up, and then the long edge of the fringe, you know, smoothed down a little bit. I just took the ends of my twist ties and tucked them to the back, tucked them in, worked them in, you know, the roping. Okay. Now next we're going to put a little halter on the horse head. Now I haven't put a bridle or a halter on a horse in a long time, but the first thing we did was just tie a piece across the nose. I just tied it in a knot. Now you can do that, make it much neater than that, and hot glue it, but I just tied it in a knot, and then I took a long piece. It's probably about 3 yards or more. It may not take that much, and I slid one end under, and then I'm just going to bring the other one over there. That'll be a double thickness, and it's going to go up right behind the ear. I believe that's where it goes. And then I'm going to flip the horse over to the back, and then I'm just going to thread that back through that piece right there, that nose piece. And like I say, you could make this a lot neater for sure. Then I'm just gonna, for my purposes, I'm just gonna tie this in a knot. Like I say, you could tuck all those ends in and hot glue them or secure them better than that. For my purposes, I'm just going to tuck them in out of sight. Now that kind of made my nose piece a little tight. Okay, and then I think it needs another little piece to go right there. Let's see. That piece may not be long enough, but we'll just put it up there just to test. I think it should have a piece that goes right there under the bangs. Okay. piece wasn't quite long enough, so cut one a little bit longer. We're going to do it the same way. We're just going to thread it under there. Be a double thickness, and then bring that up under the bangs. Bring it over to the back. Now, I don't want to get my, I want to get my bangs up out of the way because I want my bangs to hang in front of that halter, on top of that, well, you can't see it, on top of that halter like that. So I'm just going to bring it to the back. And I'm going to tie it into the pieces that I already have there. We're going to make a little flower, make a little decorative concho to go right there on the halter. I'm going to use about a yard of ribbon maybe. This burlap is not the easiest thing to make flowers out of. We'll see how it works. If not, we'll make one out of something else. But you just start one edge of the, pull one edge of the ribbon, the wire from the ribbon, and I'm going to just stop right there, and I'm going to go to the other side because I don't want to pull my ribbon out all the way. Now I'm just going to gather that. Now then, I'm going to start just rolling that to the inside, right along that wire edge. Oops, let me back up. I need to get my wire up here where I can finish it off. So I need my wire out where I can reach it. Okay. Take my wires. I'm going to fold that raw edge to the inside a little bit. Fold it under. Take my two wires, kind of wire them together. And then I'm going to take a wire and just wrap around that end of that rose. Tight as I can. Okay. Now you've got a little burlap rose, and you could just hot glue it right there. Okay. I'm gonna have to heat up my glue gun. There's our horse head after we finished it. We hot glued the little flower onto the bridle there, and there he is. Okay? It just takes a little time to do that fringe, to, you know, take your mesh and fringe out one edge of it. And, you know, it may, of course, these are long strands, they're jute strands, and they may tangle. We'll just don't know. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to hang it on the door and see how it does. Matt wants this one for his room, he said, anyway. Okay? Thanks for dropping in. There's a little subscribe button on the front of your screen. There's a little icon where you can subscribe to our channel, so please do that, and we hope you'll give us a thumbs up, and we hope you'll share our videos with your friends. We appreciate it so much. Be sure and follow us on Facebook and Pinterest.